what is the troublesome aspect of the metaphor of the machine?
Well,
how does that thwart our learning?
Well, I think that it's reductionist. I think that it discounts. When I say reductionist, I mean it oversimplifies things. That the human being, the human experience, is not mechanical. I mean, certainly there are mechanical aspects to the way that the body functions, and I think that really what's happening here is that the paradigm of natural science, being almost looking at the world as a machine, can be more appropriate, and it was used much more extensively by the thinkers involved with describing natural science. But when we apply it to the human being and we find elements such as grace, blessings, darshan, revelation of knowledge rather than the arriving at knowledge through a rational process, because let's remember that a lot of the kind of knowledge that we're looking at is comes through revelation, through darshan. The word darshan means revelation. So we don't want to eliminate those possibilities when we look at things that are almost magical in nature, at least when compared with natural science. Does that answer? Does that answer?
Babaji, can I be heard?
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to add something there. I think that the metaphor of the machine stems from a different age. It comes from the industrial age, where, of course, philosophy was extended to view the world, not only humankind, but the world as a machine, functioning as a machine. And I think that by now we have to understand, we have to develop this concept and substitute it by a networked understanding of humankind. And I think that's the major challenge that we're facing these days.
Yes, I find that extremely relevant, and I'd like to point out to all of you that Ossie, who has just made the comment, Ossie Works, has just published a brilliant book in Germany called Digital Enlightenment, where I believe he develops some of that theme. Is that correct, Ossie?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel privileged to have you here.
Also, can I say one thing?
Please.
When I hear that the body is a machine, and the analogies that I still believe are very present in our speech from the Enlightenment, I don't look at a machine as having the capacity to self-reflect or to even be a vehicle for a deeper type of insight or language that comes through it. It's something that's programmed by a higher level of creativity. And so I feel like the body as a machine is, I mean, it's kind of insulting, really. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, reductionist, I agree.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. That's, I wish I would have thought of that. Okay.
Babaji?
Yes?
Om Namo Narayan.
Om Namo Narayan.
If we may go back, I'm I'm sorry, if we may go back to an earlier point.
Yeah. Yes?
Yeah, if, it seems like we're leading into something where the knowledge will be conveyed through this journey that we're going on with you, in which it would be inappropriate to apply the method of Western rationalism. In other words, I take this to be anticipating an encounter that we're going to have. So I guess I want to ask, how do we appropriately assess the applicability of the knowledge? How do we suspend judgment? Do we use different criteria for considering the material? I guess I'm asking for some coaching on how best to experience the ride that you're taking us on.
Okay. The first most important thing is that we are not attempting to give up, to get rid of these things. We can't get rid of these things. I don't think it's even possible for us to do. So it's not that we are going to discount human rationality, far from it. What we're going to do is we're going to recognize that the role that it plays in our conversation and in our exploration and analysis. And by the way, it's not that these things are either or. I would say that human rationality plays a major role in traditional Indian thinking, but it doesn't play the only role. And this is one of the points I'm trying to make, is that, for example, you have an oral tradition, but an oral tradition doesn't mean you don't read. An oral tradition can incorporate reading the world and reading books and reading people as all part of a grander kind of scheme. I'm only interested in the fact that we recognize these things that we're bringing into our analysis and our exploration that weren't necessarily the case 2,500 years ago.
Right.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. Did you want to say something, Jennifer?
I was just going to add something about the machine, that analogy is that sometimes it seems like the body knows more than my mind does at various times. And so I was just going to add that thought. that it doesn't help me just to see as my mind in control of my body, but that there's a lot more going on.
Right, we're going to also have to discuss a little bit later, what we actually mean by the mind.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on, and I want to now discuss with Peter aspects of speech, sacred speech. I want to point out a basic difference between speech and language. Speech being an innate facility that we are born with, that we can recognize speech from other sounds, for example, even as a infant. There's been scientific research in this regard. Not that it's necessarily conclusive, but it's there. That language is taking the facilities of speech and putting them into a a cultural mode by which now we can specifically communicate. But both the speech and, to a slightly lesser degree, the language, these are things that exist besides the sounds that they make. It is based on other things than the production of sound by mechanical means. And this, again, we can bring in the metaphor of the machine not being applicable to speech. Many things can be happening in speech that are not just the result of a mechanical operation.